Hello and welcome to Module 11, AAC and Literacy Part 2. I think this is going to be a fun week for you. We have a guest lecture and that's always nice. Um, but we also have some new information, some updates on your case study system development. So keep watching this video. I think it'll be important and I think it'll be helpful for you. So as usual, we have this written outline, everything you're going to read and view, and everything you're going to complete. I'm going to go ahead and just keep scrolling through these links. You can come back to this if you need to, but I think it would be easier if I explain everything as we go along. So the first thing you're going to want to do is watch our guest lecture. Um, our speaker's name is Chris Bugay. He's great, he's brilliant, he knows a lot about AAC. We're lucky to have him here in Virginia, and we're lucky to have this guest lecture. I believe he recorded it for the class last year in 2019. So it's recorded on WebEx. You will take this password, EDSE534GMU. You can either remember it or you can right-click and copy it. You will open up the WebEx link, and then you can either type it out or paste it, whatever works for you. Get that password in there, click OK, and you will be watching the lecture. After you watch the lecture, we have another video for you. This is an introduction to a program called Clicker 7. Clicker 7 is a different kind of AAC than anything we've covered in the class so far. It has a strong emphasis on literacy, so watch this introduction. If it's something that's interesting to you, or if it's something that you could see yourself using with either your students or the students that you might want to work with in the future, the next link also has more information. You can click here to download the free trial for Clicker 7. You'll have to download it, which is why it's optional. We don't want to make anybody download a program. But you can get that free trial, and then you can access these additional tutorials as well. So that'll be helpful for you if you think you'll ever use Clicker 7. After you watch the lecture and the first Clicker 7 introduction video, you'll come down to this red link, the lecture and Clicker quiz. You'll just take a short quiz about what you've seen. All right, next up is the case study system development. This is due, the case study system development assignment is due soon, April 14th. That's very soon, and it's worth a lot of points. So hopefully you've gotten a start on it, or at least you're well into making a plan. If you click this, I believe you've seen this content before, but we have a video and some text explaining the assignment. We have a PowerPoint for the assignment. We have an exemplar of what it should look like, and we have the assignment description and rubric. So just to refresh, on April 14th or earlier, you will be handing in the case study system development assignment, which will be a recorded Kaltura video. You will record a video of you explaining your system, your AAC system, the choices you made, and the reasoning behind them. That's what you're submitting, a video. However, your next assignment, which we have not yet introduced, it'll be your final project for this class, will involve writing about some of this stuff too. So to help with that transition between the recording that you're going to do now and the paper that you're going to do later, we have an optional case study outline. So it's optional mostly because it's being sprung on you with short notice. But I think it's very important, and I recommend that all of you take a look and try to plug some of this in. This will help you organize your thoughts and ideas before you do your recording. It will help you transition this assignment into your final project. But most importantly, it will give you an opportunity to hear some feedback from us before you hand anything in. If you turn in this outline by this Thursday, April 9th, we will have it back with comments, with feedback by Saturday, April 11th. This will give you time to make any adjustments you need before you hand in the case study video. And it will definitely help you plan out your paper that you'll be doing in the last part, the final project for this class. So anyway, make sure you do your video this week, but I also recommend you do this case study outline. I noticed when I was looking at the core board part 2s, the people that took feedback from part 1 did very well. I think most of those scores went up, especially when people noted that they took their feedback from us. So yeah, feedback is great. Speaking of feedback and speaking of the core board part 2s, let's take a look at one of these core boards, because I realized that we're putting these comments into writing, we're talking about some of these concepts, but it might be easier if you have a core board in front of you to visualize. I love this core board. I think it's great. When I think of what core board means to me, this looks an awfully lot like what I would want to use as a core board. First off, it's nice to look at. Some of you got comments about cell shading. In case anybody is unclear exactly what cell shading is, that's when you take each square and fill it in with color. It looks great when you do that. Some people used colored text for their color coding, and then all of the squares were white background. Some people did that, but then just like put a broad highlight over the words and just highlighted them with color. I think core boards look the best when they use this cell shading. It's nice. The next thing that you'll notice about this is the really great alignment. Horizontally looking across, all of the words are even. Looking up and down, the columns are nice and tidy. Everything's centered, vertically aligned and horizontally aligned. Everything's centered, with one notable exception. This word down here, the don't, is a little bit off center. I think it was probably pretty clearly just an oversight because everything else looks so good. But you can see here when words are off center, it just doesn't look as good. But that's okay. Overall, it was a very well done board. So kind of having that uniformity really helps. A lot of you chose to use pictures. I'm not entirely against pictures, but the important thing to consider is what purpose those pictures serve. Some of you were using your core boards to communicate with young children, maybe your children. In that situation, I think pictures are entirely appropriate. Others were using, their core boards to communicate with other adults. And if the pictures help you, maybe if they help you find the word that you were looking for, then yeah, they're helpful. But otherwise, if you know your way around your board, it just looks nice and clean with just words. The pictures can just kind of get in the way and make everything just a little bit more crowded and less visually pleasing. All right, the last thing I want you to take note is just how much core vocabulary is here. I see Netflix, which is probably fringe. I see laptop, which is arguably fringe. But overall, almost this whole board is core vocabulary. You'll learn in our lecture this week, Chris Bouguet recommends maybe 80% of it be core, so no more than 20% core. Some of you were using fringe. Some of you were using more than 20% fringe, which really reduces the versatility of your communication. This is almost to the other extreme where it's so much core. I wouldn't have been upset if this person had included a couple more fringe words, but they didn't, and it still works. When we talk about left to right flow, I feel like this board has it. The left to right is important because you want your sentences to read almost like they would in a book. That's just a basic pre-literacy tool. Get your kids reading from left to right. I want food. Left to right. I want food. Or you, me, do Netflix. All of those sentences go from left to right, just the same way you'd read them. So overall, I think this is just a great example of what a core board could look like. It's not the only core board that I liked, and some of you submit boards that looked very different from this, but I still liked them. But when we're talking about cell shading, when we're talking about grids, left to right flow, an emphasis on core vocabulary, this is what I'm talking about. This is just a really well done board, and I wanted to make sure you all saw that so that you would have that perspective for the future. All right, have a great week, enjoy the guest lecture, and take care.